power, money, betrayal, and one man who wanted the world, no matter the cost. Scarface shocked audiences with its violence, ambition, and unforgettable rise and fall story. Over 40 years later, the real stars behind this crime classic have taken very different paths. Some became Hollywood legends, some disappeared from the spotlight, and others faced sad final chapters. Today, we uncover what happened to the cast of Scarface, then and now. Robert Loggia was born in 1930 in New York City. He was 53 when he played Frank Lopez, the Miami drug boss who gives Tony Montana his first real taste of money, power, and the high life. Frank looks like a man who already has everything Tony wants. The suits, the mansion, and the connections are all there. But behind that polished image is a boss who knows how quickly loyalty can disappear. Robert made Frank feel believable because he never pushed him into cartoon gangster territory. His rough voice, relaxed confidence, and flashes of anger made it clear that this was a man used to being respected. As Tony becomes more ambitious, Frank's calm exterior begins to crack. That shift gives their relationship real tension, because you can feel the balance of power changing long before either man is willing to admit it. Frank may not be the loudest character in Scarface, but he is crucial to Tony's rise. He opens the door to that world, only to discover that Tony has no intention of staying beneath anyone for long. After Scarface, Robert became one of Hollywood's most dependable character actors, appearing in Big, Jagged Edge, Independence Day, and later The Sopranos. His performance in Jagged Edge earned him an Oscar nomination. Robert Loggia died in 2015 at the age of 85, after living with Alzheimer's disease. Across more than 6 decades on screen, that gravelly voice and tough New York presence became his signature, with Frank Lopez remaining one of his most memorable crime roles. F. Murray Abraham was born in 1939 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was 44 when he appeared as Omar Suarez, Frank Lopez's right-hand man, and one of the first people Tony Montana has to deal with on his way up. Omar never seems impressed by Tony. From the start, there is friction between them, and every conversation feels like two men quietly deciding how much they dislike and distrust each other. F. Murray Abraham keeps Omar controlled and sharp rather than flashy. A cold look or clipped reply is often enough to show that he sees Tony as reckless, ambitious, and far more trouble than Frank realizes. That tension makes Omar an important part of Tony's early rise. He represents the established order around Frank, while Tony is the hungry outsider pushing his way into a world that clearly does not want him there. Omar's time in the film is not long, but he leaves a strong impression because his fate shows just how unforgiving this business can be. In Scarface, one wrong move can change everything very quickly. Only a year later, Abraham's career exploded when he played Antonio Salieri in Amadeus, winning the Academy Award for Best Actor. He later appeared in The Name of the Rose, Homeland, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and The White Lotus. As of 2026, is 86. He remains one of the most respected actors of his generation, with a career spanning stage, film, and television. Looking back, Omar feels like a small but fascinating role just before his breakthrough into international stardom. Miriam Colon was born in 1930 in Ponce, Puerto Rico. She was 53 when she played Mama Montana, Tony and Gina's proud, hard-working mother who wants absolutely nothing to do with the money Tony brings home. Mama Montana may not have much screen time, but she immediately sees through her son. Tony can flash cash and talk about success, yet none of it impresses the woman who knows exactly where that lifestyle leads. Miriam gives Mama a strength that feels completely different from Tony's. She does not need bodyguards, money, or threats to stand her ground. One look at him is enough to tell you who really has the stronger backbone. Her presence also brings a human side to the Montana family. While Tony is chasing bigger houses and bigger deals, Mama represents the life and values he is leaving further behind with every step. That contrast makes her especially memorable. She loves her son, but she refuses to celebrate what he has become, and that disappointment hits harder than almost anything his enemies can throw at him. Away from Scarface, Miriam appeared in more than 100 screen roles, including Sabrina, Goal, and Bless Me, Ultima. She also founded the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater in New York. He died in 2017 at the age of 86. Beyond her film career, she left a major mark on Latino theater in America, helping create opportunities for performers long before Hollywood began paying serious attention to Hispanic stories. Stephen Bauer was born in 1956 in Havana, Cuba. He was 27 when Scarface introduced him as Manny Ribera, Tony Montana's best friend, partner, and the one man who stays beside him from the streets of Miami to the top of the empire. Manny has ambition too, but unlike Tony, he knows how to enjoy the ride. He likes the clothes, the women, and the money without carrying that same constant hunger to own everything in sight. Stephen brings an easy Cuban swagger to the role that makes Manny instantly likable. He can joke around 1 minute and handle serious business the next, giving the film some breathing room beside Tony's explosive personality. That friendship becomes one of the emotional anchors of Scarface. Manny follows Tony through almost everything, but he is never just another henchman. There is real history, trust, and brotherhood between them. And that is exactly why his relationship with Gina changes everything. Manny finally makes a choice for himself, and Tony's inability to accept it turns one of the film's closest friendships into one of its most painful tragedies. Stephen went on to appear in Traffic, Ray Donovan, Breaking Bad, and Better Call Saul, where his familiar intensity found an entirely new generation of viewers. Today, Stephen is 69. More than 40 years after Scarface, Manny remains the role most closely tied to his name, but his long career has proved there was far more to him than being Tony Montana's right-hand man. Harris Yulin was born in 1937 in Los Angeles, California. He was 46 when he appeared as Mel Bernstein, the crooked Miami detective who sees Tony Montana's growing empire as another business opportunity rather than a crime to stop. Bernstein walks into Tony's world wearing a badge, but there is nothing clean about the way he operates. He wants his cut, knows who is paying whom, and treats police protection like something that can simply be bought. Harris makes Bernstein feel dangerous without turning him into a loud movie cop. He stays cool, talks like a man who thinks the system is on his side, and carries himself as though nobody would be foolish enough to challenge him. That confidence fits perfectly into Scarface. Almost everyone around Tony wants a piece of the money, and Bernstein shows that corruption in this world does not stop when you reach the people who are supposed to enforce the law. His role is relatively small, yet he leaves a strong impression because Bernstein represents another line Tony is willing to cross. By that point, badges, bosses, and old alliances mean less and less to him. Harris later appeared in Ghostbusters 2, Clear and Present Danger, Training Day, Frasier, and Ozark, while also maintaining a long and respected career on stage. Harris Yulin died in 2025 at the age of 87 after cardiac arrest. Over 6 decades, he became one of those actors audiences instantly recognized, even when they could not remember his name, and Bernstein was a perfect example of why. Ángel Salazar was born in 1956 in Cuba. He was 27 when he appeared as Chichi, one of Tony Montana's closest men and part of the crew that follows him from the streets into Miami's dangerous drug world. Chi-Chi is not the flashy one, but he is always there when things turn ugly. He sticks with Tony through jobs, deals, and shootouts, proving himself as one of the most loyal men in the group. Angel gave Chi-Chi a rough, street-level energy that fit Scarface perfectly. He felt less like a polished gangster and more like someone who had genuinely come up through the same hard world as Tony and Manny. That loyalty is what makes Chi-Chi memorable. Even as Tony's empire begins falling apart, he stays close instead of disappearing when the danger becomes real. His final moments are among the film's most brutal, showing just how quickly Tony's world collapses once there is nowhere left to run and nobody left to trust. Outside Scarface, Angel was also a stand-up comedian known for his "check it out" catchphrase. He later appeared in Punchline, Carlito's Way, and comedy specials while continuing to perform live. He died in 2024 at the age of 68. He remained active almost to the end of his life, and for Scarface fans, Chi-Chi still stands out as one of Tony Montana's most loyal soldiers. Pepe Serna was born in 1944 in Corpus Christi, Texas. He was 39 when he played Angel Fernandez, one of Tony Montana's early friends and partners during the dangerous days before the money and mansions arrived. Angel belongs to the rawest part of Tony's story, when the crew is still hustling for a chance to move up. There is no glamour yet, just risky jobs and the constant feeling that something could go wrong. Pepe makes Angel feel like a real working-class guy, caught in a world moving much faster than he expected. His relaxed presence fits naturally beside Tony, Manny, and Chi-Chi in those early scenes. That makes what happens to him hit harder. Angel is not a kingpin or a major boss. He is simply one of the first men close to Tony to pay the price for stepping into that business. His fate also sets the tone for everything that follows. From that point on, Scarface makes it very clear that ambition in this world always comes with a cost. Pepe went on to build a remarkably long career, appearing in more than 100 films and hundreds of television episodes. His credits include The Jerk, Silverado, American Me, and Downsizing. As of 2026, Pepe is 82. He has also worked as an artist and stage performer, becoming a respected figure in Mexican-American entertainment, with a career stretching well beyond his brief but unforgettable role in Scarface. Michelle Pfeiffer was born in 1958 in Santa Ana, California. She was 25 when she played Elvira Hancock, Frank Lopez's glamorous girlfriend, who later becomes Tony Montana's wife as his empire reaches its peak. Elvira looks like everything Tony thinks success is supposed to bring: beauty, expensive clothes, and a place beside the man at the top. But the closer he gets to her, the emptier that dream begins to look. Michelle keeps Elvira cool, distant, and almost bored by the luxury around her. She never seems impressed by Tony's money, and that indifference makes him want her even more. As the film grows darker, Elvira becomes one of the clearest signs that Tony's dream is falling apart. The mansion gets bigger, the money keeps coming, but there is almost no happiness left inside it. Her sharp exchanges with Tony also give the film some of its most memorable, quieter moments. She is one of the few people willing to tell him exactly what his life has become. Scarface became Michelle's breakthrough, and she soon grew into one of Hollywood's biggest stars with The Witches of Eastwick, Dangerous Liaisons, The Fabulous Baker Boys, and Batman Returns. Now, Michelle is 68. She remains active in film and television and has earned 3 Academy Award nominations across her career. More than 4 decades later, Elvira's icy elegance is still one of the defining images of Scarface. Al Pacino was born in 1940 in New York City. He was 43 when he became Tony Montana, the Cuban refugee who arrives in Miami with almost nothing. and sets his sights on money, power, and everything that comes with them. Tony never knows when enough is enough. Every deal leads to a bigger one, every victory makes him want more, and the same hunger that carries him to the top slowly turns against everyone around him. Pacino throws everything into the role: the stare, the swagger, the explosive temper, and that unmistakable voice. Tony can be funny, frightening, and completely out of control, sometimes all within the same conversation. Yet there is more going on than pure aggression. His loyalty to Manny, obsession with Gina, and complicated feelings toward his mother give glimpses of the man underneath the expensive suits and mountains of cash. By the final act, Tony has everything he once dreamed about, but almost nobody left to share it with. That rise and collapse is a huge reason the character became one of cinema's most famous gangsters. Pacino was already a legend thanks to the Godfather films and Dog Day Afternoon. He later won an Oscar for Scent of a Woman and continued with films including Heat, Donnie Brasco, and The Irishman. Now, Al Pacino is 86. He remains active as an actor and is the father of 4 children. More than 4 decades later, Tony Montana is still everywhere in pop culture, from posters and music lyrics to one-liners fans can quote almost word for word. Mark Margolis was born in 1939 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He was 43 when he played Alberto, better known as the Shadow, the silent assassin sent by Alejandro Sosa to help Tony carry out a politically sensitive hit. Shadow is a very different kind of threat from the loud gangsters surrounding Tony. He barely needs to speak. His calm face and patient movements tell you that killing is simply another job he knows how to finish. Mark keeps the character cold and unreadable from beginning to end. There is no swagger and no wasted motion, which makes Shadow feel even more dangerous whenever he quietly appears beside Tony. His presence also brings out a side of Tony that the audience does not always expect. When the mission crosses a line Tony refuses to accept, the relationship between the two men changes in an instant. It is a small role, but Shadow sticks in the memory because he feels genuinely unsettling. In a movie full of shouting and violence, Margolis proves that silence can sometimes be far more threatening. Mark later became famous to another generation as Hector Salamanca in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He also appeared in Oz, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and several films directed by Darren Aronofsky. Mark Margolis died in 2023 at the age of 83 after a short illness. His career lasted more than 60 years, and he became one of Hollywood's great character actors, the kind of performer who could make a few minutes on screen feel much bigger. Dennis Holohan was born in 1942 in Stamford, Connecticut. He was 40 when he appeared as Jerry, the banker who handles Tony Montana's growing fortune once the drug money becomes far too large to hide under a mattress. Jerry represents another side of Tony's empire. There are no guns or street deals in his office, just suits, paperwork, and fees, and a clear understanding of exactly where all that money is coming from. Dennis plays him like a businessman who has seen this kind of cash before. He stays friendly and professional, but there is always the sense that every smile comes with a price attached. As Tony's fortune grows, Jerry becomes a reminder that the legitimate world is more than willing to take a piece of dirty money. The only difference is that they do it from behind a polished desk. His screen time is brief, yet the character fits perfectly into Scarface because Tony's rise is not built by gangsters alone. Banks, lawyers, and respectable businessmen all have their place in the machine. Dennis later stepped away from acting and built a second career as an attorney, specializing in entertainment, media, and intellectual property law. Earlier in life, he had also served in the U.S. Navy. Today, Dennis is 83. He has lived a far quieter public life than many of his Scarface co-stars. and also devoted time to charitable work connected with addiction recovery and young people leaving foster care. Michael Aldridge was born in 1941 in California. He was 42 when he played George Sheffield, Tony Montana's slick attorney, the man brought in when Tony's money laundering trouble finally catches up with him. Sheffield belongs to the respectable side of Tony's criminal world. He wears the suit, knows the law, and understands exactly how much trouble his client is facing, even if Tony would rather believe money can fix anything. Michael keeps the character calm and businesslike. There is no need for shouting or threats. Sheffield feels like a lawyer who has already seen plenty of powerful men walk into his office, convinced they are untouchable. That makes his scenes work so well. While Tony talks big, Sheffield is one of the few people willing to tell him plainly that the legal system is closing in, and that even his fortune has limits. His role is brief, but it adds another layer to Tony's downfall. By this point, the danger is no longer coming only from rival dealers or gunmen. The law itself has become part of the pressure. After Scarface, Michael continued working steadily in television, appearing in ER, Quantum Leap, The Dukes of Hazzard, and the miniseries V. He died in 1997, at the age of 56, from lung cancer. His career was filled with dependable supporting roles, and Sheffield remains one of those small Scarface characters who quietly helps show just how far Tony's empire has begun to unravel. Richard Belzer was born in 1944 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. He was 39 when he appeared as the sharp-tongued MC at the Babylon Club, the glamorous Miami nightclub where Tony's world of money, music, and danger all collide. The MC is only on screen briefly, but he immediately feels like part of the club's atmosphere. He keeps the crowd moving with jokes, announcements, and the kind of fast talk that fits the wild nightlife perfectly. Belzer did not have to stretch far for the part. By then, he was already known as a stand-up comedian, and that dry, slightly biting sense of humor comes through naturally in every line. His presence gives the Babylon Club scenes an extra dose of personality. Even with Tony watching the room and trouble building in the background, the MC keeps the night rolling like nothing could possibly go wrong. That contrast fits Scarface perfectly. The club looks glamorous and carefree on the surface, while underneath it all, Tony's enemies are already closing in, and the violence is never very far away. Richard later became far more famous as Detective John Munch, playing the character for decades across Homicide, Life on the Street, Law and Order, SVU, and several other television series. Richard Belzer died in 2023 at the age of 78. From stand-up stages to one of television's longest-running detective characters, he built a career around that unmistakably dry delivery, and even his short Scarface appearance carries a little of that signature edge. Victor Campos was born in 1935 in New York City. He was 48 when he appeared as Ronnie Echeverria, one of the men moving through the business circles surrounding Tony Montana's growing Miami empire. Ronnie is not one of the film's loudest figures, and that actually suits the world around him. Scarface is full of men who operate quietly in the background while bigger personalities fight for control. Victor gives the role a grounded, no-frills quality. He looks completely at home among businessmen, criminals, and middlemen who understand that one wrong conversation can become very expensive. That kind of presence matters in a film like this. Not everyone around Tony needs to be larger than life. Characters like Ronnie help make the Miami underworld feel crowded, connected, and believable. Even with limited screen time, Victor brings the sort of lived-in toughness that makes you feel Ronnie has a history long before Tony ever enters the picture. Outside Scarface, Victor worked steadily in film and television, appearing in Cades County, Doctor's Hospital, The Streets of San Francisco, Kojak and Juice. Before acting, He had also been a professional lightweight boxer. Victor Campos died in 2018 at the age of 83. His career stretched across decades of American television and film, and that background in boxing and character acting gave many of his roles the same quiet toughness he brought to Scarface. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio was born in 1958 in Lombard, Illinois. She was 25 when she made her film debut as Gina Montana, Tony's younger sister, and the person he becomes fiercely, almost dangerously, protective of. Gina wants what most young women want: freedom, love, and the chance to live her own life. The problem is that Tony keeps treating her choices as if they belong to him. Mary gives Gina a softness that slowly turns into frustration. At first, she feels playful and carefree, but as Tony's control tightens, the tension between them becomes harder and harder to ignore. That relationship gives Scarface some of its most personal drama. Tony can handle enemies with guns, but he has no idea how to deal with a sister who refuses to live by his rules. Gina's story also shows how Tony's obsession with control destroys the people closest to him. By the time everything falls apart, his love for her has become tangled up with jealousy, anger, and fear. After Scarface, Mary earned an Oscar nomination for The Color of Money and later starred in The Abyss, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and The Perfect Storm. She also built a respected stage career. Currently, Mary is 67. She has been married to director Pat O'Connor since 1990 and is a mother of 2. Her career has moved between film, television, and theater, but Gina remains the role that introduced her to audiences around the world. Paul Shenar was born in 1936 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was 47 when he played Alejandro Sosa, the powerful Bolivian drug lord who becomes both Tony Montana's biggest business connection and one of the few men Tony never truly controls. Sosa is everything Tony wants to become: wealthy, connected, and completely at ease with power. He never needs to raise his voice, because everyone around him already understands who is in charge. Paul gives Sosa an icy calm that makes him feel more dangerous than many of the film's louder villains. Even when he is being friendly, there is always the sense that one mistake could end the conversation for good. That contrast with Tony is what makes their relationship work so well. Tony runs on emotion and ego, while Sosa stays controlled, patient, and several moves ahead. As Tony grows more reckless, Sosa becomes the one man he cannot bluff or intimidate. Their partnership may begin with mutual respect, but it is built on rules Tony is never very good at following. Beyond Scarface, Paul was a founding member of the American Conservatory Theater and worked extensively on stage. His film credits also included Raw Deal, The Bedroom Window, Bestseller, and The Big Blue. Paul Shenar died in 1989 at the age of 53 from AIDS-related illness. His career ended far too early, but Sosa remains one of Scarface's most memorable figures, a man who proved that real power did not need to shout. The empire may have crumbled, but Scarface refuses to fade away. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more unforgettable stories about the casts of the films that changed Hollywood forever.